On the one hand, he is trying to moderate. I think the worst aspect of all of this is that he's going to come across as insincere inevitably. Okay? Because I think you should just be honest. I think you should be honest about who you are and what you have become. Okay? Because it's very obvious that, like, on the one hand, in his private moments, in his private correspondence, like, it's very clear that this is a dude who went through transformational change in his own personal politics, right? It's clear. But he is so scared of coming across as, like, too heavy-handed on the socialist side and too much of a radical that he's like, oh, I'm not like that. I'm not. Also, it's not like Plattner couldn't afford to pay for a cover-up either. He had a decade to do something about it. I know. I can't understand what the fuck that is about in good conscience. Like, I think it's so insane. But in a weird way, while I think it's personally indefensible, in a fucked up, twisted way, I kind of like that liberals are riding for it regardless. Because under normal circumstances, if this dude had... Here, I'll explain why. Okay? I'm going to explain to you why. I think it's like... I'll explain to you exactly why. The fuck is wrong with you? I'm going to explain. The reason why I think it's like interesting that they're defending Graham Plattner is because Janet Mills is right there. And Janet Mills is a pro-Israel Democrat specifically designed by the establishment Democratic Party to be the guy or the lady to go after Susan Collins. So there's two different flanks in the Democratic Party right now. You have the left flank with the Bernie contingency, okay? And you have the establishment centrists who have obviously put forth their best possible candidate. And Janet Mills is everything that is, brother, he is pro-Israel as well. Yeah, I'm not going to entertain this stuff. I'm sorry. If you think a guy whose first statement on the map, putting him up as like as a upstart candidate was Israel's doing a genocide and we should stop giving weapons to them, and you think that he is pro-Israel, you will never find... You think Zoran is pro-Israel as well, I think. Right? Like, that's crazy. There is a reason why they're going so hard after him. If he was straight up pro-Israel, you trust politicians now? So fucking disingenuous. You're so lost in the sauce. Man, please stop. I'm not even defending him. I'm just giving you what the different forces are right now. The different forces at play internally within the Democratic Party and also the outside forces from the pro-Israel lobby and the Republican Party. Okay? Graham Plattner, due to his own stupidity or his own secret Nazi past, is eating it from every end. But the things that we do know about him, that has drawn tremendous ire from both the establishment Democrats and also the Republicans and also the Israel lobby, are some of his key positions, being pro-Medicare for all and being anti-Israel. Okay? But you are spending so much time talking about him. When you like it or not, liberals in the United States of America are a more formative political bloc than whatever fucking pamphlet reading left group that you have with your fucking dumbass friends. That's just the reality. So you have to work within the existing reality instead of sitting around and fantasizing. On the one hand, you have the establishment pick, Janet Mills, AIPAC stooge, pro-Israel, 77 years old. I believe she will be, by the time she runs, her candidacy is done in the Senate, she will be like 80 something. Okay. Classic institutional establishment Democrat pick. Okay. Classic. She will be, on the other hand, the establishment Democrats, on the other hand, are also going after him because they don't want an anti-Israel candidate to win. Because especially in a purple seat, if an anti-Israel candidate wins in a purple seat, a left flank candidate wins in a purple seat, that establishes something that the Democrats have held on to in perpetuity. The notion that you can only win red seats and purple areas by running establishment-backed centrists. Because Graham Plattner would be the most firm counter to the Marie Gluesenkamp Perez's of the world. For those of you who don't know, I think by and large, liberals are changing. I think liberals, by and large, are far more comfortable with a person that in his private moments, the bar is so low for you, that is really sad. Can we just abandon electoralism and start a revolution instead? Sometimes I can't tell if like these guys are the agents in my chat. Okay? Let me ask you something, chatter. Whose technical proficiency are you going to utilize when you are doing a violent revolution? If you think every single veteran is a baby murderer that needs to be imprisoned instantly. Can you point to a single instance where there has been a vanguard that has not been comprised almost entirely of disillusioned veterans, for example? You're being dishonest? No, it just doesn't even make sense in his own. And then some Reddit posts. Where's the real proof? No, I think if you're looking at his own, if you're trying to sift through his own personal opinion, his like actual opinion, I think his unearthed Reddit posts are probably a lot better than whatever he's writing because he wants to fucking, in his mind, win a goddamn election. That's what I'm saying. Like, it makes no sense. He's not doing this to win an election. He's doing this because he's posting on the internet. What do you think shows the true nature of someone? Whatever the fuck they were writing anonymously before they had any ambitions of running for office, or what their PR-backed statements are. He has. What do you want him to say to your chat is not the same he needs to say to people in Maine. He has continued to talk about how he's changed. Yeah, no, I agree. But the Nazi tattoo is fucking ridiculous. And once again, like I said, you should, like, if I was running his campaign at this point, number one, here's a couple things I would have done. First of all, I would have said, once again, over and over again, that there are some things I don't agree with from all the way back in 2013 that I stated. And, the stuff about how he was an angry jarhead, all that stuff works, right? I'm wearing my apolitical Democrat consultant, my Democrat consultant hat. One, drop out now? Fuck no. If I'm running his campaign, I'm quitting Lamau. No, you guys don't understand the amoral nature of Democrat Party consultants, okay? Calm down and listen to, I'm giving free money, free ball. Okay, first of all, he doesn't have to win any of you over. Let's just make that very clear. He's running for a purple seat in fucking Maine, okay, in the Maine Senate. So none of you are relevant in this conversation, except for maybe like the 12 Mainers in here who are going to vote for him anyway. So shut the fuck up. That's number one. Okay? Here's what I would do. One, I would come out and be like, look, I felt very disillusioned. I felt very disillusioned by my service, as millions of Americans do. And I went through this transformation. And, some of the stuff I'm just like joking around on the internet. It's embarrassing. It is what it is. But having said that, as far as my own personal politics goes, it's very obvious it's very obvious when you look at my most private moments that I never thought would be blasted on the timeline. No one wants to No one would want to be judged by their private anonymous moments on the internet. He did say a lot of this stuff. But as far as, yeah, he's leading in the polls, drop out. Why does Hassan take anything in this chat seriously? I don't. Yeah, he has the entirety of, he has all the labor unions backing him. He has Bernie Sanders backing him. He has even liberals backing him in the Pod John universe. And of course, all the left flank is not backing him. But that is yet another moment of the irrelevance of people in this chat when it comes to electoralism. It's understandable. Okay? As far as the Nazi tattoo goes, one of the things he has to immediately do is like, look, I got this when I was a fucking idiot. I never realized that it was like, I never realized that it was a Nazi tattoo, and that's my bad. I am instantly covering it up. That's completely unacceptable and inappropriate for anyone of any background or of any party affiliation to have a fucking Nazi tattoo. And I don't know, like fucking donate something to like Life After Hate or something. Okay? It is pretty wild to me, though, that like leftists will literally run with a Jewish insider scoop from Matthew Castle. Like, you're a 28-month subscriber, man. What the fuck's going on? Are we for real? Yeah, here's the NRSC communications director. By the way, the Republicans have been going extra hard on Graham Plattner because they also are fearful of his candidacy. They think that he is the man to beat Susan Collins. That should give you an indication. Accidentally got a Nazi tattoo. Regularly spreads anti-Semitic propaganda. Has a lot in common with openly pro-Hitler Maine Democrat. But don't call him a Nazi because he hasn't been hiding it and is actually just a racist communist. Ironically enough, before the Totenkopf tattoo, all the stuff that I learned about him, personally from his Reddit posting and whatnot, made me feel like he was earnest. The Nazi tattoo, on the other hand, is fucking insane. The fact that not even the fact that he got the tattoo, that's already insane in and of itself, but the fact that he never like removed it, like he has a Totenkopf on his chest, like that's crazy. What the fuck are we doing? If all of his other private posts were not so not getting your SS Totenkopf tattoo removed for your primary campaign because you might still need it for the general. That's funny. The last point of the Democrat is not real. He immediately told the guy to fuck himself. What do you mean? Maybe I'm too charitable, but could he be keeping it as a reminder of how far he's come? No. At worst, he knew exactly what it was and thought it was cool, okay? And was at least like not overtly anti-Nazi. At best, he is a complete fucking moron. And like didn't realize what it was for as long as he did. And I think it's virtually impossible for no one to have warned him throughout the past 20 years. Like, what are we talking about? Like, the most charitable interpretation here is that he is genuinely fucking not very bright. Wait, what? Maybe he wanted a cool tattoo and his tattoo artist was a neo-Nazi? Wait, no, that is literally what happened. That is, whether he knew it was a neo-Nazi, whether he knew it was a Nazi tattoo or not, doesn't change exactly what took place. His tattoo artist was 100% a fucking Nazi. Okay? That's not in question here. No one is questioning that, I hope. No one gives you a Totenkopf tattoo if they're a tattoo artist and they're not a Nazi. That's not how that works. Okay? Hello? What the fuck? His political director quit. Yeah, but the political director quit before all this shit. It is pretty funny though how much like Axios and all these other places are actually hammering him on the communist stuff and the Antifa super soldier stuff, as opposed to the Nazi tattoo, which is crazy. Goddamn Americans, man. Yeah, the director has something to say about the tattoo. Plattner's political director, who resigned over his Reddit post, weighs in on the tattoo. He's not an idiot. He's a military history buff. Maybe he didn't know when he got it, but he got it years ago, and he should have had it covered up because he knows damn well what it means. I think, if anything, this is an op. The political director that came in and then out when she saw the fucking Reddit post of him saying he's a commie. Okay? Excuse me, but that political director literally fucking resigned publicly, mind you, because he said he was a commie in Reddit posts. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck what this political director has to say. Like, that's crazy. They didn't actually... Would you forgive him if he had tattoos, a hammer and sickle on top of the skull? Wait, what? I would love that if he had a fucking hammer and sickle tattoo. Are you kidding me? I've run out of self-restraint. Worse than when the guys on the train to Boston were fanboying over Reds Eats. The DC consultant class is fucked up our U.S. Senate race again, and all you need to stop snipping at each other. This is seriously the dumbest timeline. Graham has an anti-Semitic tattoo on his chest. He's not an idiot. He's a military history buff. Maybe he didn't know it when he got it, but he got it years ago, and he should have had it covered up because he knows damn well what it means. His campaign released it themselves to some podcast bros, along with a video of him shirtless and drunk at a wedding to try and get ahead of it. The vault is open for the GOP to fucking crush any dreams we had in the general, and literally everyone I know is fighting with each other on social media. We cannot be this painfully stupid. Yeah, also, if he had a hammer and sickle tattoo, he would be in worse shape than the Nazi tattoo. Let's be real. Americans are fucking insane. I don't care about the political director who literally resigned over the fucking... I don't care about the political director who resigned over Reddit posts. All of the stuff that like Axios is hammering him on makes me like him more, and all the stuff that is like the fucking Nazi tattoo is just completely unacceptable. Anyway, an angry Bernie Sanders won't drop his support for Graham Plattner despite a Nazi tattoo on his chest. Sanders said Plattner, as a young man, went through some difficult experiences in Iraq and Afghanistan. Sanders, I personally think he's an excellent candidate, and I will support him, and I look forward to him becoming the next senator from Maine. When pressed on Plattner's Nazi tattoo, Sanders lashed out at the corrupt campaign finance system, adding, "We don't have enough candidates in this country that will take on the powers that be and fight for the working class." Like I said, though, one of the craziest parts about the Nazi tattoo that hasn't been discussed, at least from what I've seen, is the fact that if he got any other tattoos since then, and he was not shy about showing the Totenkopf, any other American tattoo artist would instantly go, "That's a Nazi tattoo, brother. I'm going to cover that up for you for free." Just understand that, okay? There are very few tattoo artists that would see that. There are very few tattoo artists that would see that and go, "That's fine. That's total. That's just skull and bones." No tattoo artist, no fucking tattoo artist in the United States of America is going to be oblivious to that. You might be, and that's fine. Okay. But you're not a tattoo artist. Tattoo artists, unless they are Nazis themselves, straight up know what the common fucking Nazi tattoos are. They refuse to tattoo Nazi tattoos. That's the reason why they know all the symbolism. Okay. No, I know he got it in Croatia. I'm saying if he's gotten tattoos after the totem cough in the United States of America, then someone, if they had seen it, would have informed him that either they were not going to tattoo him or they would cover it up for free. There are very few tattoo artists. Listen to what you're saying. A Croatian tattoo parlor in 2006. What are we doing? Oh my God. No, you listen to my word. Not only are there entire groups, like entire 501c3 philanthropic organizations that specifically do cover-ups, because there are a lot of Nazi tattoo artists in prison that give people Nazi tattoos, offering former white supremacists a fresh start. A 6-side tattoo studio in Mississippi, reformed gang members and white supremacists such as T.M. Garrett seek free cover-ups for ink from their past. It's okay. A lot of you don't know how this stuff works. It's understandable. As the PhD, as the resident PhD in racism, I'm telling you. Yeah, it's very, very common for tattoo parlors to do free cover-ups for former Nazis and former gang members and shit. There are also, it's not even just Nazi tattoos. There are also gang tattoos as well that tattoo parlors will refuse to obviously tattoo unless you go to a specific parlor that is gang affiliated. And the ones that are not will actually offer you a free cover-up. These guys have to be knowledgeable on this stuff. This is their fucking job. Dude, you don't know what you're talking about? I've worked in shops my entire life. Dude, you're wrong. That's one tattoo shop. The majority don't. Hassan, you have no idea what you're talking about with tattoo artists. There's only a handful of artists who do free tattoos. So do you know how many tattoo artists there are? If you worked in tattoo shops, that chatter is a clown. Shops all over Southwestern Ohio do free cover-ups for prison tats. More do than don't. Bro, you live in LA though? Like a random shop in rural America doesn't operate like that? I think you guys are wrong. Tattoo parlors often will have an entire book dedicated to tattoos that they won't do, like common gang symbols and common white supremacists.
That's a swastika. There's a swastika over there. He's got a swastika. Okay, so all three of you are 5'4" balding men in their 30s. And you all have tattoos of black and white lions with blue eyes.
It's so funny because you live in LA, dude. Go to Minnesota. They have no fucking idea. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Bro, what the fuck are you talking about? I've never been to a tattoo studio that would willingly put Nazi shit on anyone. Thank you, chatter. That's what I'm saying. The chatters are not saying that. They think this is a LA thing. It's not just a LA thing. Please. Tattoo artists actually have to know the no-no tats because they can get in trouble with the wrong people if they're tattooing gang members with the wrong tats. Unless it's a parlor that is gang affiliated, or unless it's a white supremacist parlor, unless you're going to like a biker gang parlor or a Nazi parlor that is known for tattooing people with Nazi tattoos, you walk into a shop in the United States of America, in most places, and you say, hey, I want this Nazi tattoo. They're going to say, no, we're not allowed to do that. I know for a fact. And it's not a LA thing at all. Okay? Yeah, speaking from a friend who's a tattoo artist, most tattoo shops have photo albums of many examples of tattoos they won't do and train apprentices to watch out for these tattoos just so they won't be considered affiliated. I can't believe that people don't know this. This is like somewhat common.
And you're not in a cult. Cool runes, man. Yeah, no, I know they have a
The point would hit harder if this vid was of a tattoo parlor. I'm sure there's fucking videos of tattoo parlors that are, there's probably a million fucking TikToks of tattoo artists talking about how they refuse to do tattoos. Public warning: most Nazis don't wear swastikas. Familiarize yourself with these symbols to keep your eye open. Yeah, they have like a book. They have a book of tattoos that they won't do. A lot of chatters, I feel like, have not fucking entered a tattoo party. Anyway, I can't believe how much time we spent on this shit. That's crazy. I think a lot of people are just like trying to. They're trying to actively debate me for no reason.
Has been in the tattoo business for nearly 2 decades, so it's safe to say he's seen all kinds of ink, the good, the bad, and tattoos that can be downright offensive.
You're laying on the
dumb stuff and
hardwood floor.
further than others.
Now the St. Petersburg tattoo parlor is offering to cover up any racist and hateful images for free, with no questions asked.
Just trying to grab and use our trade, our skill to actually do something to help out and make people who are trying to make a change for themselves not walk around with something that's from their past.
Fredo, a Colombia native, posted the shop's latest offer on social media and tells WFLA.com the response has been overwhelming, with people from all over the country wanting to book a free session.
Yeah, there's a million stories like this, like feel-good stories about...
Stephen got these white supremacist tattoos as a teenager, and today he's finally removing them.
This is putting the final nail in the coffin of a life that I no longer ever want to have a part of in my life again.
A life where he joined white nationalist gangs. That's why he asked us to conceal his identity.
Getting tattoos of this nature, it's sort of like taking a blood oath, and it can be something that you can never betray.
A nonprofit called...
For the record, I can't believe I'm saying this, but Pete Heggs's tattoos don't even broach the no-no territory, by the way. Graham Plattner's tattoo does. Totem Koff is very, very well known amongst tattoo artists as a Nazi symbol. It's the third most popular Nazi symbol, but like Deus Vult or the Jerusalem cross, stuff like that like you could probably get the Democrats are weirdly enough defending him. Like liberals are unironically defending him. What is this? Regarding people know the skull or not, 42% of consumers didn't know their chips were made out of potatoes per Fortune. What the fuck? $79 on Inauguration Day and 84, I think, by the time her Senate seat is up for re-election. Perfect gilf age. Yeah. So while there is a candidate like that, the left flank of the party has decided we're staking our reputation from the establishment Democrats. It draws a lot of scrutiny from AIPAC and the pro-Israel lobby, and it draws a lot of ire from the Republicans as well. A lot of them are aligned on the Israel stuff, but I think they're also frustrated with a left populist, at least like seemingly left populist candidate coming in and overthrowing Susan Collins. Because if the Republicans actually did not worry about Graham Plattner running, they wouldn't be attacking him. They would be talking about how awesome he is. They would do the Pied Piper strategy, famously adopted by Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump. It was a major failure, but the Republicans would quite literally say, "Oh, it's awesome. Plattner's great." They wouldn't say a single damn thing about Plattner if they thought that he was a weak candidate that could lose to Susan Collins a lot better than Janet Mills. The Democrats student loan debt relief when the Biden administration was trying to do that. Okay? But because she actually maintains control over a red area as a blue Republican, the Democrats constantly fucking promote her as the method. This destroys one of the most successful arguments that centrist Democrats have deployed forever. Oh, Zoran's politics only work in New York City because New York City is woke, but it would never work. It would never work in a red area. Okay? It would never work in a purple district. It would never work in a red area. So, if Graham Plattner being like, I'm a leftist, blah, 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 all this shit, I'm anti-Israel, blah, 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 all this shit, is able to fucking unseat a Republican, this destroys that argument. It destroys that argument in its entirety. We already know it holds no weight. This is part of the reason why Bernie Sanders has actively pressed for Graham Plattner in spite of the overwhelming amount of opposition that has come his way. But what I like about the way liberals are responding to this shows me that by and large, Pod Save America watching liberals, New York Times reading liberals are also fed up with establishment centrist candidates because under different circumstances, they would be running well, Graham Plattner's chances look really bad, so we should do vote blue no matter who and go with the establishment pick, Janet Mills. But they're not doing that. Janet Mills is right there. Chuck Schumer loves Janet Mills. Chuck Schumer is pushing for Janet Mills, and yet all of these liberals are unironically championing a dude who literally got a fucking Nazi tattoo on his chest. So they're saying, I don't give a fuck about that. I'm willing to turn a blind eye to that because we need this kind of rugged, real American guy with really fucking stupid, indecipherable politics that ultimately says, first and foremost, Israel's doing a genocide, which clearly is giving him a lot of fucking institutional credibility, or not institutional credibility, but like credibility in the eyes of the voter base. Okay? And they're looking at his track record, or they're looking at his statements on Reddit, and they're saying there's nothing wrong here. I think that's a good thing. Okay? The Nazi stuff, not so good. He's a commie. He's a radical commie. He's Antifa. So yes, it's a bit like the New York Times liberals defending you in the comments after that guy called you a terrorist who wants 9/11. Yes. Yes. Liberals are changing. I'm just asking people, when people go, dude, time to abandon, well, they have to face some accountability. Come on, dude. Time to abandon the electoralism route. Revolution now, guys. Weirdly enough, don't even think about how that shit works. Playing a major role in the ways that liberals approach the conversation, and that is a good thing. Okay? I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Can you point to a single moment in history where a successful revolution occurred by working within the existing ruling party apparatus? Virtually every single instance until there's an opportunity for there to be a vanguard party to be formed. Like literally every single one. Every single revolution has had tireless work and countless work leading up to the moment of revolution. Every single one. Every single one. It is obvious to me that many chatters have learned about communist history and socialist revolution from internet memes rather than actually reading. And I suspect it's my fault. It's my failure. Because when I say, oh, I shouldn't be the only person you learn this stuff from, and you should actually actively seek it out on your own. Say one, go ahead. Not a single party said, oh, we'll work with a liberal bourgeois party and get the money bourgeois elements out of it. What are you talking about? That's not what I'm talking about at all. Every single successful revolution has taken years and years of formative work working within the existing political constructs before that moment happens. Every single one. The difference between you and I is either you are being oblivious deliberately or are not acknowledging the history. There has never been formative, spontaneous organizing without exhausting the available tools within the working party infrastructure. I mean, this is the classic. Left-wing communism and infantile disorder. Should we participate in bourgeois parliaments? It is with the utmost contempt and the utmost levity that the German left communists reply to this question in the negative. Their arguments, in the passage quoted above, we read, all reversion to parliamentary forms of struggle, which have become historically and politically obsolete, must be empathetically rejected. This is said with ridiculous pretentiousness and is patently wrong. Reversion to parliamentarism, forsooth. Perhaps there is already a Soviet Republican Germany. It does not look like it. How, then, can one speak of reversion? It is not an empty phrase. Parliamentarianism has become historically obsolete. That is true in the propaganda sense. However, everybody knows that this is still a far cry from overcoming it in practice. Capitalism could have been declared, and with full justice, to be historically obsolete many decades ago. But that does not all remove the need for a very long and very persistent struggle on the basis of capitalism. Parliamentarism is historically obsolete from the standpoint of world history, i.e., the era of bourgeois parliamentarism is over and the era of proletarian dictatorship has begun. That is incontestable, but world history is counted in decades. 10 or 20 years earlier or later, 10 or 20 years earlier or later makes no difference when measured with the yardstick of world history. From the standpoint of world history, it is a trifle that cannot be considered even approximately. But for that very reason, it is a glaring theoretical error to apply the yardstick of world history to practical politics. Is parliamentarianism politically obsolete? That is quite a different matter. If that were true, the position of the lefts would be a strong one. But it is proved by a most searching analysis, and the lefts do not even know how to approach the matter. In the thesis on parliamentarism published in the Bulletin of the Provisional Bureau of the Amsterdam of the Communist International, number 1, February 1920, and obviously expressing the Dutch left or left Dutch strivings, the analysis, as we shall see, is hopelessly poor. In the first place, contrary to the opinion of such outstanding political leaders as Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, the German lefts, as we know, considered parliamentarism politically obsolete even in January 1919. We know that the lefts were mistaken. This fact alone utterly destroys, at a single stroke, the proposition that parliamentarism is politically obsolete. It is for the lefts to prove why their error, indisputable at times, is no longer an error. They do not and cannot produce even a shred of proof. A political party's attitude towards its own mistakes is one of the most important and surest ways of judging how earnest the party is and how it fulfills in practice the obligations towards its class and the working people. Frankly, acknowledging a mistake, ascertaining the reasons for it, analyzing the conditions that have led up to it, and thrashing out the means of its rectification, that is the hallmark of a serious party. That is how it should perform its duties and how it should educate and train its class and then the masses. By failing to fulfill this duty and give the utmost attention and consideration to the study of their patent error, the lefts in Germany and in Holland have proved that they are not a party of a class, but a circle, not a party of the masses, but a group of intellectualists and of a few workers who ape the worst features of intellectualism. Second, in the same pamphlet of the Frankfurt group of lefts, which we have already cited in detail, we read, the millions of workers who still follow the policy of the center, the Catholic Center Party, are counter-revolutionary. The rural proletarians provide the legions of counter-revolutionary troops. Everything goes to show that over the masses is antithetical to a mass line developing. The notion that you would assume that you cannot win people over, enough people of serious movement, it's antithetical to building any sort of solidarity. Okay? This, ironically, we've moved beyond talking about fucking Graham Plattner here, okay? Like, I'm just specifically talking about the idea that you cannot exhaust all readily available options and that you think a revolutionary style of thinking at all. It is one that Lev Kamzev presented against a successful revolutionary such as Vladimir Lenin. You have to exhaust all options, especially while specifically analyzing the material conditions that currently exist in your day and age and looking at how much class consciousness already exists. The exhausted masses are dispossessed. They are oblivious to their class position in the heart of empire. Okay? This is where America was always a capitalist nation. It was a proto-capitalist nation before people were like, we're capitalists. Okay? With its endless territorial domination, its indigenous genocide, there's a reason why America was so perfectly positioned to be the heart of capitalism around the globe, okay? And they seized on that opportunity post-World War II. You look at a situation like this, a country like this, and you go, why is there so much anger and resentment? Far too sweeping and exaggerated. But the basic fact set forth here is incontrovertible, and its acknowledgement by the left is particularly clear evidence of their mistake. How can one say parliamentarianism is politically obsolete when millions and legions of proletarians are not only still in favor of parliamentarism in general, but downright counter-revolutionary? It is obvious that parliamentarism in Germany is not yet politically obsolete. This is what I tried to stress yesterday when talking about liberals. Whether he's going to say a slur to you and you're going to be bricked in that moment. You'll be like, oh my God, the counter-revolutionary tendencies amongst the real working class members. Oh, what's happening? You're going to get one-shotted. It is obvious that parliamentarianism in Germany is not yet politically obsolete. It is obvious that the lefts in Germany have mistaken their desire, their politico-ideological attitude for objective reality. That is a most dangerous mistake for revolutionaries to make. In Russia, where over a particularly long period and in particularly varied forms, the most brutal and savage yoke of Tsarism produced revolutionaries of diverse shades, revolutionaries who displayed amazing devotion, enthusiasm, heroism, and willpower. In Russia, we have observed this mistake of the revolutionaries at very close quarters. We have studied it very attentively and have a first-hand knowledge of it. That is why we can also see it especially clearly in others. Parliamentarianism is, of course, politically obsolete to the communists in Germany, but that is the whole point. We must not regard what is obsolete to us as something obsolete to a class, to the masses. Okay? You understand the situation in bourgeois democracy. I don't normally fucking dive into any sort of work of Lenin, but this is what is, like, when I'm talking to you about how, like, the broader confines of the American public and how they analyze liberalism, you need to get, when I say get your fucking head out of your asshole, this is what I mean. Okay? You have no movement. You have no organizing principle, and you can't even talk to regular fucking people. That's just the reality. We must not regard what is obsolete to us as something obsolete to a class, to the masses. Remember that. Here again, we find that the lefts do not know how to reason, do not know how to act as the party of a class, as a party of the masses. You must not sink to the level of the masses, to the level of the backward strata of the class. That is incontestable. You must tell them the bitter truth. You are in duty bound to call their bourgeois democratic and parliamentary prejudices what they are, prejudices. But at the same time, you must soberly follow the actual state of the class consciousness and preparedness for the entire class, not only of its communist vanguard and of all the... I mean, you and Mike almost looked the other way on the Blackwater and vet stuff. The vet stuff, I don't give a shit about. And I cannot stress this enough. I don't. 100%. Like, the Blackwater one is beyond. My Graham Plattner tattoo today while Axios is going off on him for having an Antifa Super Soldier sticker and being a member of the Socialist Rifle Association. What a race to cover here in Maine. Yeah. Dude is not just a veteran. He did it was 4 tours. He willingly did it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why leftists in here are acting like this is a win in an argument. Now we're just going to get another pro-Israel Dem and the pro-Israel lobbyists who wanted to destroy him one, replaced by a geriatric genocidal shitty Dem who will give you a demented smile. I think he is so unimaginably inexperienced and as a political operative in perhaps one of the most dangerous political positions you can have, even as an experienced political operative. Being unconditionally anti-Israel is literally the most treacherous waters that you could wade through. And to add to that, like you already have unimaginable ops when you do that. Okay, you already have dove into the deep end of the most treacherous, the most vicious political opposition research-backed waters that you possibly could have. That to me gives, that for me at least, means a lot. That means a lot to me. That has a lot of mileage from my perspective, because a lot of people rely on the idea that they have currently that, like, oh, being anti-Israel is the anti-Zionist like background, but he was able to just like overcome all of those odds by presenting putting a very charismatic spin on a lot of these like policies that people wanted. Bro, 2 washed up kick streamers literally went to TwitchCon dressed up you as Zakaya. What are we talking about here? Wait, what? What does that have to do with anything? Yeah, who gives a shit about that stuff? People are up your ass about everything you do. Yeah, I'm not talking about that shit. Of your shop, the Defend Equality sticker on the truck, and Antifa Super Soldier on my armor as well. Keep up the good fight. And that thread over at r/tactical gear has me rolling. This is from r/SRA weekend, Socialist Rifle Association weekend. Graham Plattner wrote in 2020 that he had an Antifa Super Soldier label on his armor and discussed being active in his local Socialist Rifle Association chapter. Plattner, this was a dumb joke, like most of my old Reddit posts.